All right, and now there are two teams left, Ohio State and Notre Dame. It's a national championship. Who will be that national champion, and what side, total? Where should we look to bet this thing? We've got you covered here on the final edition of the College Football Bet On It as we welcome in Kelly Stewart and Marco D'Angelo as well, we tried to tell you during the semifinals a couple of different looks to go there, and it turns out that Notre Dame gets it done, and of course Ohio State gets it done. So they will meet in the national championship in Atlanta. We all knew the look ahead was 9.5. It's kind of where it's sitting here at the moment. The total, 45.5, somewhere in that ballpark there. But Kelly, listen, we all saw Notre Dame possibly alongside Ohio State. A lot of people thought Texas might be just good enough to pull off the outset, but you didn't hedge, right? You realize that was all for gardening, right? There was no hedging in your world. Was there this weekend?
No, of course not, Joe. Why on planet Earth would I do that? I've been screaming from the mountaintops about overrated teams all season long. Oregon fans yelling at me here on Bet On in the comment section, and I'm like, what? Just because you're number one. This has been my whole argument on social media for the last 3 weeks. Just because ESPN says you're number one in the country does not mean you're number one in the country. The end. Their FPI is bullshit. They are bullshit. There's so much more that goes into it. And you have SEC fans and you have Big Ten fans. And it doesn't make sense to me because I don't understand the conference allegiance. I have allegiance to my bankroll and I cheer for a couple of teams. But the reality is polling is bullshit. Associated Press is bullshit. Your fake numbers next to your name are Ohio State, after losing to Michigan, was all but written off and should have been left out of the college football playoff. Now they're going to go win the whole damn thing. I'm going to cash my futures ticket there. I don't know what to do on this game. I really don't. I've got Calcutta with Notre Dame. We win actually more than I win on Ohio State National Championship because I had National Championship and I had college football playoff just to make it. So between the two, I'll make it same as I'd make with Notre Dame in the Calcutta. But right now, I'm kind of just sitting pretty, and I don't know. Like I'm going to say this. I've never been in this position. I'm not a big futures bettor. It's not something I've ever really gotten involved in. I've had some Super Bowl futures and a couple national championship futures. K-State 40-1, and then they turn around and lose to Baylor as 13.5-point favorites. But I digress. Actually, that's a great full circle moment because you know what this game reminds me of? That exact same national championship where Notre Dame got in over K-State and Alabama waxed their ass. That's exactly what this game looks like to me, Joe.
It certainly, the market appears to think so, Marco, that we might have a repeat here of 2012, 2013 when, Notre Dame's last appearance in the national championship didn't end up all that well for him here. It feels like this is a game where if Notre Dame is going to do this, it's probably because Ohio State shoots themselves in the foot. Do they, Marco? Is there a chance they do it here?
Well, first of all, I'm just going to start with congratulations, Kelly, you to be in this position, and you don't have to do anything because you got both sides working for you now. But I'm going to call bullshit if you didn't tell me that your ass wasn't puckered up Friday night when Texas was first and goal with the one. I'm sorry. I have never met your dad personally, but when I finally do get to meet him, when you come to see the horse race or something, we're going to sit down and have a long talk about you listening to your elders sometime because that game, Texas, for whatever God-forsaken reason, decides to run wide to the left against the defense.
There's your turnover, Cal, from Ariel Epstein. Right there's your turnover because I had said right before then, we know Quinn is good for at least 2 turnovers in this game. And I said, this is so insane. I go, not only are they winning the turnover battle, I go, variance is coming our way. I go, a couple bad calls on both sides. I'll try not to bitch about you and the refs too much. I go, but come on. I go, Quinn has a turnover coming. It was inevitable. That's how the guy plays. That's why Texas fans were screaming for Arch Manning. And guess what? When Arch Manning did get in the game, he almost turned the freaking ball over.
Well, Arch Manning should have been back in the game on the second down. They should have lined up, go with a spread offense, and give him the opportunity to either run or pass. If it's not there, you can throw it out of the back of the end zone, and then you go to 3rd and 1 from the 1 again. You do not run wide on a team that has team speed on defense like Ohio State, okay? That was absolutely asinine. Okay, now let's get into this game. You talked about what the look-ahead line was. I watched the board on Friday night the minute the game was over. I wanted to see who was going to be the first to hang the number Friday night, and it was our friends at the Westgate Superbook here in Vegas. They opened this line at 8.5 and 47.5, and it didn't take 60 seconds before that number was gone. It went to 9.5 immediately, and then the total ended up settling at 46.5, and we've even seen that total move down to 45.5 now. So the sharp money came immediately in on the Ohio State side. And let's be honest, Notre Dame, kudos to what they've done, and they hold the coaching edge by far in this game with Marcus Freeman. It's not even close. Ryan Day, Marcus Freeman, that's a mismatch on the sidelines. But the reality is Notre Dame had the easiest path to the national championship. They beat an overmatched Indiana team. They beat an injured Georgia team that had an absolute complete brain meltdown at the end of the first half in that game when it was still a close game. And instead, you turned it into 10 points for Notre Dame right before the half. And then they got the ball to start the second half and made it a 17-point run in that one. And then let's be honest. Drew Allen, could you have played any worse than he did? He had receivers open the entire game. Every throw of his was over, high, missing wide open guys. They never completed a pass to a wide receiver. You know who's going to complete passes to wide receivers early, often, and throughout the game? That's going to be Will Howard. And he's not going to choke like Aller did in the last game. I look for Ohio State. Are they going to win this game and cover? I think so. But what I'm going to play, and I'm going to wait till they put the number up, I see Ohio State getting to 31 or more in this game. I'm taking a team total on Ohio State. That's where I'm going. They're going to attack Notre Dame. And you saw the guys that were open for Penn State and they didn't get. And I'm just going to give you a flashback. The last time they actually played a team that had an offense. Do you remember that Southern Cal game? Do you remember the former UNLV quarterback, Maeva, what he did against this Notre Dame secondary? And that was before Notre Dame had injuries. I look for Ohio State to score points in this game. That's the way I'm going to look at the national championship.
Yeah.
I'm sending a text right now because here's the thing, Marco. I want to know if Jeremiah Smith was actually hurt in that game and why we didn't see him. There's a reason why Chip Kelly didn't run any really designed plays with him, and I'm not sure. So I just sent a text because I want to know. Maybe he was a little banged up, right? We didn't hear about Will Howard being banged up until after the Michigan game.
Right.
Tight lips usually there in Columbus, but I think Chip Kelly is going to have a really interesting game plan. Now, I would agree with you. Marcus Freeman is the better head coach here. But we all know Chip Kelly's the better offensive coordinator. And I think this is Will Howard's time to shine against this defense. I agree with you. I like the Buckeyes. I like the Buckeyes team total over. Here's the reality. I kind of like the game under. That's not good news for Notre Dame. Like, if you like over 31 for the Buckeyes, that means I like under 14 for the Irish.
No. But, I mean, listen, we all saw it, and it was, again, we saw Notre Dame start slow. We saw Penn State start slow. We saw the under in the first half. And, yes, you're welcome, because this way you didn't have to watch the second half, Marco. I was fully lit up by the time the third quarter got and did not care what happened from there, although I was rooting for at least there to be some points. That game ended up going over the total because of that crazy fourth quarter and second half there with Notre Dame. But they also, I mean, I give them credit. Riley Leonard has delivered in big moments. I didn't think the kid had it in him, and all he keeps doing is showing up. I don't think Notre Dame is rolling over here. I do think eventually talent wins, and the talent on Ohio State is just going to be, I think, too much in 4 quarters for Notre Dame to keep this thing close. But I'm kind of with Kelly. I think it's going to be tight early. I think an under in the first half is very much alive in this game. Once again, I do think both defenses, probably the best unit out on the field here, without a doubt. And the question is, and we didn't see a great Ohio State offense like we did against Oregon. We saw them have their moments, but we also saw a little bit of regression from Will Howard and the offensive side of the ball. Give Texas's defense credit. That game looked like it was going to go off the rails quickly, but that defense buckled down. I think Notre Dame's defense is very capable of causing havoc against Ohio State, but I do believe this is a game where the fireworks are going to happen again late, third, fourth quarter. So I'd be all about, splitting this game in half and looking at Ohio State early, looking at the under early, and then buckle up, because I think the second half adjustments will be made. Both of these coaching staffs have shown an ability in game-wise to make the necessary adjustments to put their team in a position to win. I ultimately think there's just too much Ohio State talent for Notre Dame to compete. It'll eventually be what cost them. Wouldn't be shocking. Double-digit win here by Ohio State. May even ladder it up to 17 and a half, because I do think the game can get out of hand if Riley Leonard can't pull the Superman cape on and save Notre Dame once again in this matchup here. But ultimately, Cal, if you had to pick a side here, you're probably looking at what, the total, maybe an under, or the team totals is the best way to approach it?
I'm with you here. I like that first half under. Both teams trying to figure each other out. Both defenses really locked down. And again, that variance in the second half that happened with Texas, Ohio State, Will Howard even threw an interception that was costly there in the third quarter. So keep in mind, I think you're in the right move there as opposed to the game total under. I like Marco's idea of the Buckeyes team total over. I think it's Buckeyes all the way here. And like I said, I actually do win more money on Notre Dame winning the national championship. I'm not sure I'm going to lay it with Ohio State, but now you kind of got the wheels spinning here, Joe. Maybe an alternative line. I know lots of books are offering these days, and I'd like to see some of that plus money, right?
Yeah.
Just give me something to cheer for. And of course, I put together a Splash Sports lineup. I lost mine the other day because I had Will Howard over 12.5 rushing yards. And he had that really big, and of course I had Will Howard touchdown, but that's a whole nother argument in itself because he got tackled by the turf monster, but he had plenty of rushing yards. And I look, and at the end of the game, I'm like, 4. He had that many negative frigging rushing yards after having an 18-yard rush. So that was painful, but I'll be looking at a couple of Will Howard props. Jeremiah Smith, man, if he's not hurt and they were really just locking him down that much, look for that to probably continue with this Notre Dame defense. Look for Buka or Tate to probably not be the ones getting double teamed once again. Man, that game was against Texas was very telling about who they want to target and who they want to go after. And of course, it's the best running back in the country. And I kind of don't blame them for that.
They made one costly mistake on defense, Texas, Marco, and I think it's what changed the game when you let Henderson, after you scored the touchdown, you methodically drive down the field, and then you let Henderson out into open space, and a total breakdown on the defensive side. And that's ultimately what cost him. I don't know that we're going to get a lot of those 75 yards to the house kind of plays in this game, Marco, because I think both defenses will be making sure that doesn't happen. And if that's the case, then, Ohio State can't beat itself. Will Howard can't beat itself. We do know they're capable of that, but it's kind of hard to step in front of that train right now. And by the way, I understand you have a good opportunity for folks to be able to hop on board, not just for what you're going to do in this game, but of course, the NFL playoffs underway as well.
Yeah, Joe, and we're going to continue the offer we had for you guys last week. I'm going to extend it. We did nail another 5% play. We had it on Saturday, the wild card round. We had the Houston Texans. They rolled over the Chargers. It was our big 5% play. And if you want to come on board, we're the number one handicapper at WagerTalk since October 1st in Money One. And you can get 7 days all access for just $77. Use coupon code MD77. That's MD77. Pick up 7 days for $77. That's all sports, all plays. Guys, let's keep this run going. And yeah, Texas, yeah, that was fun. I don't know which was more fun, watching the 75-yard run with Henderson before the half after you just totally took the momentum of the game, or watching the scoop and score. And I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, my poor dog, I was screaming at the TV so loud, he didn't come out from underneath the couch for like an hour after the game because I was not happy.
Yep. Well, there you got it here,
You're
guys.
muted,
Marco's
Kelly. That was the best. You were muted, Kelly.
That's
I
right.
love it.
Yes.
Keep it.
Yep, exactly correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Marco's yelling at the dog. Kelly doesn't give a crap one way or another who wins this game. She's already going to the bank. And I don't want to watch the second half. So we're all good to go here. We got a little something for everybody here. Well, there you got it. Don't forget, guys, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. We do want to thank all of you for hanging with us in another very profitable college football season here on Bet On It. But, of course, you'll see us again as the NFL playoffs continue to roll on here. We will be with you straight through the Super Bowl there, so make sure you check out this week's edition of the NFL as now that the wild card weekend is gone. Now we've got two teams that had some buys. They are going to be matched up. We got a lot to talk about in the NFL, but in all honesty, we appreciate all the support, guys, on behalf of Kelly, on behalf of Marco, and all of us here at WagerTalk.com. It's been a hell of a ride. Enjoy the game. Let's cash a couple of tickets on the way out the door, and then get ready. We'll see you in a couple of months for a college football Bet On It edition, guys. Good luck. Enjoy the game. We'll see you again soon.